everyone, welcome to the first of many Game of the Year videos, the end of the year. Technically, I'm putting these videos out in January of 2023, but I always like to take an extra month just to catch up on maybe any games that I missed during the year that, you know, people have been telling me, no, you really need to check this shit out before I actually give my final say and final stamp on the year. So, we're going to kick it off today. As always, I do multiple categories. I do separate videos. I will do one top 10 video for my favorite games of the year, which I'll rank them. I also, this year, am bringing back top 5 favorite movies, because this is the first year, I think, since the pandemic that I actually got into going back to the theater. I always try to pick a runner-up, and then I talk about the pick. Today's video, we're going to talk about biggest surprise, the game that surprised me the most in 2022. This is a game I actually recently did a video about. I did not play it right when it came out, but I played it much after, maybe like 2 or 3 months after it came out on the recommendation of a friend. Before I pick my top pick for it, my runner-up is going to be High on Life. I'm not a Rick and Morty fan. I think people know. I don't know if people know that on the channel. I do not care for Rick and Morty at all. I don't like that type of humor typically, and I kind of steer away from it. The reason I got drawn into High on Life was that, I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Microsoft had a pretty damning year of just not much going on exclusive-wise. So at the end of the year, they released High on Life. I wanted to check out kind of their one and only big exclusive for 2022. And I have to say, I enjoyed this game so much. Not all of the humor resonates with me because, again, it is the same Rick and Morty style of humor. I mean, the fucking gun, the main gun that you use in the game, Kenny, is literally like Morty's voice from that show. So, I mean, it is what it is. But it's also hard to write something that is consistently funny for like a 6 to 8 hour video game, and I think this game does that very well. It's also one of the most unique games I've played in a while, and one of the most visually appealing at times. So really came out of left field for me, and it's actually higher on my top 10 list than I would have ever given it credit for. So that's my runner-up. Main game that I want to pick as the biggest surprise. This was talked about on my podcast 572. My friend Dan had been playing this game, and then I had written it off because I thought it was a arcade compilation collection, and it's not. That is, of course, Arcade Paradise. I just put out a video on it not too long ago. I highly recommend you go check it out. It is probably the most overlooked game of 2022, and I think that's the reason why. This is a tremendous, like, simulator slash... you can play and enjoy knockoffs of old arcade games in this, and they're starting to actually make DLC of actual arcade games and putting them into this. But there's a pretty deep story in here. I said this in the review video I did of it. There is one of the deepest stories I had in a video game this year is just my conversation back with a college student through email. And that was one of the deeper stories I had seen in a video game all year. And this is all just done through emails, you know, back and forth. So this game you play as a college student. You're actually a graduate high school. You're kind of in between. Like, you don't really want to do this. Your dad runs a string of laundry businesses, and there's an arcade in the back, and you see a real potential to change this into an arcade, but your dad's like a real piece of shit. I'm talking a real piece of shit in this game. And so that's a big part of the story. But in secret, he goes on vacation, and you just kind of slowly transition this business into an arcade before you actually end up kicking out the laundry portion of it completely without your dad's knowledge or consent. All he sees are the numbers. So he, the entire time, is like, wow, these numbers are great. You're doing a really great job, without actually knowing, until eventually you do fuck up. And he finds out, and that is kind of a pretty rough part of the game, I would say. But it's also set in the 90s, early 90s, so a lot of nostalgia there. They do a really good job of, like, sound-alike songs in this game. That, you know, anything from, like, Rage Against the Machine, Alanis Morissette, like, anything you would think of in the 90s, you're going to see that in this game, and I think that's really fucking awesome. Arcade Paradise, like, it came out of nowhere for me. It sucked my life for like an entire month. You know, I was trying to get through God of War Ragnarok while also trying to just devote more time to this game. So Biggest surprise of the year, I'd love to know in the comments below. What's your biggest surprise of 2022? And stick here for more Game of the Year coverage on Marble Gallery. I will see you later.